Hey, gentlemen, hey, congratulations on your new film, The Wrecker.
Wow, thank you so much for having us, man. It's been a great experience.
You know what? I love, love, love action movies. It's one of those films that I love, staying at home, watching on a Friday and Saturday night, and The Wrecker, checks all those boxes that we actually want. Fight scenes, car chases, heck, explosions, everything. So it is a whole lot of fun.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. That's the brainchild of this man right here, man. His twisted mind, his twisted mind.
Yes, that was music to my ears, what you said about it, though. That's exactly what we set out to do, is make a fun film for the audience.
Well, then, Nico, I'm going to throw it to you. Where the original idea came from for the record?
I like the films out of the 90s that were just simple stories about good over evil, a little bit of romance, a little bit of drama, and just a fun storyline. Not a complicated story, not a complicated script, and not a bunch of CGI. It's just a fun story. And so when I collaborated and met with Art and we started talking about it, we really just set out to make a fun 90s throwback film with a lot of action, a lot of fight scenes to just entertain the people. And could not be happier with the way it turned out.
Excellent. Art, tell us how you were brought on board and why you wanted to direct The Wrecker.
Gig, they lied to me. They said it was going to be a family film. They said it was going to be a family film with kids and bears. No, I'm just kidding. No, I had met Nico on a film that I directed called Ruthless, and he really, really impressed me both as an actor and as a human being. And we started discussing different things to do in the future. And then when the record came around, I wasn't even thinking in terms of directing. They said, "Hey, we got a good script. Why don't you look at?" And I read it. I thought, wow, this has a lot of potential. It reminded me of how I cut my teeth because basically I grew up like again, directing films in the 90s, those action films, and in those days, again, we did a lot of action, but no CGI. So the stuff you see then, you're talking about guys flying in the air, crashing, and all that stuff. Because I think to a certain degree, some of these bigger films, they kind of a little bit take you out of it because it's unrealistic because it's almost like a cartoon. And what we set to do with the Wrecker, we wanted real. We wanted, as a matter of fact, it was a really cool fight with the guy that tries to hit Nico, tries to get him with a knife. And I didn't tell Nico this, but I told the guy, stick him. You can put him up, man.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
had a lot of fun, and that's what drew me to it because it was the simplicity of it, very simple story, but just a lot of fun, You don't have to really overthink it. You just have fun, just have enjoy it, enjoy it with your friends, with your dates, whatever. And and that was it. It really attracted me. And then again, the catalyst again, going back to Nico, because I'm at a point in life where I want to choose who I work with, and Nico was just phenomenal. Nico was just phenomenal, both on camera, his commitment, and again, the whole concept of the record.
So true. And I just want to correct you, Art. The word family has been mentioned, more than half a dozen times. So I guess technically it is a family
There
film,
you
isn't it?
go.
It
Okay,
is. It is. Yes. Yes.
that's right, man. Charles
Mhm.
Manson's family, but a family film, man.
Nico, tell us about writing the main character Tony for yourself and deciding to act in almost all the scenes for a film like this.
Yeah, I did not plan to start it like that. I just wanted to. I enjoy writing, and I had an idea in my head for a good story, and I just started writing away. And the more that you write such a story like this, the more I started understanding this character and his motivations. And I'm a parent myself of two little girls. And so the little girls, all of a sudden, I kind of started seeing myself as this Tony character. And by the time I finished the script, I just really couldn't turn this over to anybody else. I really wanted to play it myself. So I am glad that I was able to play this character. It was great.
Now, I do have a big question because one of the things that Tony lives his creed that he lives by is no guns.
Correct.
Okay, and this is something that is from start to finish, with a little bit of exceptions, but why do you folks want to focus so much on fist fighting in a film like this?
Well, I've seen so many films currently, and with all the detective films and the John Wicks and the different films that are action films out right now, everybody uses gun, 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 gun. And it's a little tired. And one thing that I think was the most interesting about Star Wars was the lightsaber. It was a unique weapon that propelled that film to superstardom. And so I thought, what would we use if I wasn't using a gun? Well, the guy owns a garage, so maybe a wrench, maybe a really
Big,
big
right?
wrench. Yes. And so the big wrench became really part of what made his personality. And I think what gave a little bit of creativity to the script by having something other than a gun. So then I thought, well, let's get a little backstory here on why he really is against weapons. And so the backstory about how he and his brothers got into his father's gun closet, and his brother killed himself with one of the guns, really made him anti-gun. And so I think that theme really transcends throughout the story, but I also think it gives us an advantage over all the gun movies out right now, that this guy really doesn't want to touch a gun, and he really didn't need to because he had all the tools he needed.
Was that big wrench a prop wrench, or you just went out and found the biggest wrench you guys could
So
wield?
we had three wrenches. We had the real wrench, and that was about a 15-pound wrench. Then we couldn't obviously use that on all the sets. So we had a rubber wrench that I actually hit people with. And then we had a paper mache wrench that was just put together for props on scenes and stuff. So yeah, it's a real wrench, and I have it in my gym right now.
Art, you have such a careered stunt background. How did you want to approach, the choreography in this film and talk about the stunt team that you want to use? Because behind every director, there's always a great stunt team.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you look at going back to Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, obviously, the main protagonist, the main protagonist has all the skills, but unless the guys can react to it, it's not going to look great. But what I wanted to approach it was, again, going back to the 90s and real gritty, gritty kind of feel to the fighting. And I think we accomplished that. And the guys that we had working with it really were just phenomenal. We brought different teams in from different parts of the country, and with Niko, we worked out a lot with his own natural body tendencies, because I don't want to do anything that's very unnatural for him. So what I was doing is, okay, I was seeing the way he moved. I liked the way he moved, and so I was incorporating all that, because no matter what I do, every film I've done, I start out, okay, I'm just going to direct. I'm just going to direct. I'm just going to direct. And then before you know it, here I am punching and hitting and fighting. You know,
Can't help himself.
I can't help myself, man. My therapist says I need, anyway, that's another story. But, but that's what I did. I wanted to approach it in a very gritty, visceral manner. Like when actually a couple of things were really, really interesting, and it was major contributions from Niko. One was when we were in the bathroom fight, and he wanted this guy to smash a toilet. And in my head, I'm thinking, how are you going to smash a toilet? Well, we figured it out. And the other scene, when he fries a guy's head on a grill, fun stuff, family stuff.
Yeah, right.
So we wanted to use the environment. That's one thing that I like to do, even with Chad Michael Collins. We're fighting in a kitchen. I said, well, shoot, he's got no weapons. These guys got weapons. What would I do? We got a pan. Slap him across the head. And I wanted to make it, kind of real as we can get, meaning that what would I do? What would a natural person do in that circumstance? He wouldn't stand toe to toe and, do this kung fu stance. He would like grab this, grab that, punch, use the environment. So I'm hoping that came across, because it was a lot of fun to do.
It surely does. It looks like it on screen. Nico, how good did you get pulling punches and not trying to hurt anyone?
Wow. Here's the thing. So you're already dieting, so you're a little mentally depleted anyway. And then you're exhausted from the long days. And now all of a sudden, on the final day, I have to go up against Oleg Prius, who's one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen. And we're at about at least 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're having to pull punches. And I go, I'm throwing these punches out, and I actually hit him in the nose, just slightly, hit him in the nose, and I go, no, 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 we've got to call it for the day. I said, I'm exhausted, and if I hit this man, he could kill me. So I said, no, let's call it for today. I think we'll start this back up tomorrow. So no, it really is something that you have to be careful about, because if you start to get tired, you could hit somebody and you can hurt them, and we obviously don't want any of that.
A side note to that, when we saw him hit him on the nose, everybody dived for cover. We don't want to get the big man mad.
Art, is there a trick when it comes to these fight scenes not hurting each other?
The trick is basically remembering that it's a dance. It's not a fight, it's a dance. Because even though you're moving and all that stuff, you got a partner or several partners and you're dancing with them. And once you're doing those dance steps, you don't overextend yourself, you don't overdo everything. Obviously, sometimes minor accidents happen when you get too close. But pretty much, I think that's the trick, is to memorize all these step moves, and you got it. And every time you make it look so exciting. And that's what Nico was good at. He was great, great.
Yeah.
And again, another note about Oleg is, first when I'm seeing Nico fight him, and then he's dragging him, he's pulling him around. I'm thinking, what a wuss. And so I stepped in, and Oleg, I felt Oleg's power. I was like a rag doll. I said, never mind, go ahead, you guys do it.
That guy is a beast.
And he was the gentle beast, such a
Yeah.
sweet, sweet human being.
Yeah.
But man, don't let him grab you. Gig, if you're ever on a set, don't let Oleg grab you, brother.
Yeah.
He'll pick you up and toss you around.
I'm actually surprised, because watching the film, I thought Nico was a big guy, and then you guys could manage to find someone bigger than Nico for this film.
Yes, you stand next to that man, and I tell you, we did one scene where he's walking down a hallway towards me with his trench coat, and I thought, my God, I'm glad I don't owe this man money. I mean, he is a scary human being.
Now, one of the things that is such a delight in this film, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Betsy, the
Black
tow
Betty.
truck.
Black Betty.
Betty. Yeah. Tell us about converting that tow truck into the wrecker for this film.
Well, we got extremely lucky. We have a lot of car enthusiasts out here in Las Vegas. And so we found a guy, Whiskey, that owns Whiskey's Custom Cars out here, and he made it his personal passion. This project is his baby, and this guy's worked on a lot of cars, but he can't stop talking about the wrecker. He absolutely loved the project. And so when we turned it over to him, he had all these ideas that were substantially bigger than our ideas. We were going to put some prop things on the vehicle, and the next thing you know, he's going, no, 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 no. We're putting live machine guns that pop out from underneath the hood. And the flamethrower, these were real items. And it all goes back to Art's dream of the film being authentic and not CGI. These are not CGI tricks. They are authentic. And so, funny story, I had the truck at my house one day, and I thought, oh, let's go pick up my little girls from school in this. And then all of a sudden I said, well, wait a minute. I have live machine guns under the hood. Maybe not a good idea. So, no, it was great. And it turned out amazing.
That is amazing. Art, in action sequences, because so many things are happening, everywhere. Some scenes are chaotic and so on. How do you pull off the cinematography, the camera work to capture these scenes perfectly?
I think the biggest thing that I do is whenever I devise create an action scene, I already have it edited in my head. So I know exactly where it is. And then I defer a lot to the experts like our, armor, our effects guys, to what's the distance, what's the safe distance. So once I understand that, then I choose whatever lens I'm going to do, the movement, because the last thing I wanted is something staticky. I wanted the to take the audience into that action. And and going back to what Nico was saying, literally those were live machine guns, the turrets that are coming up. And the flamethrower was a real flamethrower. As a matter of fact, Gunner, our armor, he basically had some old relics from Vietnam. And those are, I'm telling you, I had no idea how much power is in that flame. When we were shooting some of the stuff, he told me, he says, stay a safe distance. Bro, okay, I'm thinking 5, 10 feet. I was 15 feet away and I felt the heat
Oh
of
yeah.
that. That
Yeah.
was so powerful. But pretty much, because it's already in my head, all I do is defer to the experts in terms of the safety factors, and then I just push it right to the edge, push it right to the edge. And fortunately, and I've done this for a few years, I've never had any serious accidents because I'm very safety conscious. Even on the fights, I'm the first voice you're going to hear and the last voice before you throw that first punch because my thing is safety first. Safety first. I'm always yelling that to my actors, to my stuntmen. Even in the beginning with sound guys complaining, "Oh, you're talking over." I don't care. I want people to be safe, but I also want it to be very exciting. So we always push it to the edge, but as long as it's safe.
Very true, very true. Gentlemen, I'm going to leave with one last thought because the record here is such an ode to what cinema was back, in the 80s and 90s that we always love. But some people argue that action films is starting to sunset thanks to, like CGI and other special effects. How do we save this genre, that so that we can keep on enjoying for generations after generations?
Well, let me tell you, that is a absolutely fantastic question, and that is something that Art and I probably both completely agree on, that the CGI is killing it. You don't know what to believe anymore, and you don't appreciate the special effects anymore. You don't appreciate because you don't know if it's real or not. Did a computer generate that? And that is exactly what we tried to accomplish in the record was a la natural. Let's go back to the basics. Let's give them real fight scenes. Let's give them real authentic passion in this film and really make it without CGI. Now, there's special effects, of course, with the gunfire and the blood and some of those other items, but the fight scenes are 100% real. And I think that that is exactly what we need to do because now you appreciate the actors' talent for what they accomplished in that scene, not some computer generator in a boardroom somewhere. So thank you for asking that because we want to bring that back and have people appreciate these the artists and the actors' talent on screen. Thank you for asking that.
In fact, Cammy Bruder was one of our stuntmen. He was one of the guys that got burnt. All that was genuine. It's always scary, to be honest with you, whether I do car chases or fights. I've done this for a while, but it's always scary because these guys lit themselves on fire. We lit those guys on fire. And that one, we didn't enhance it in no way. We really had the flamethrower and literally, boom, some of these days I'll show you the behind the scenes where you see them light them up.
Yeah.
And it creates that visceral feeling. And it's a great question that you had, Gig, because I think me personally that I'm a huge fan of action films. When I'm watching Marvel or those kind of things, they're cool because I'm expecting that. That's a cartoon to me with a lot of heart, really well done. But when you get, action films that are contemporary, when they overdo it with CGI, it takes the audience out of it as opposed to feeling it. We always want that visceral, just that grit, you know?
Yes. Yes.
So true, so true. And I could tell you guys have passion for it with the record because if you have fun, us, the audience, will also have fun. And that's what it is. The record is a fun movie. Gentlemen, thank you very much for speaking to us about the record. Everyone needs to watch this on their Friday and Saturday nights. Thank you.
Thank you, Gig. Thank you so much.